Chapter 14, Knockout. As they moved out beneath the dim twilight of a sub-zero Antarctic summer night, Troy walked next to Kelly. He looked away from her, but spoke softly, hoping he would not be overheard by Zalman, who walked ahead of them, the tranquilizer gun gripped in both hands, or by Proskov or Belin, who walked on either side of them, their Makarovs drawn and ready. If this blows up, and it will, I want you to run like hell. Don't stop for me or anyone. Get back to the base. Find Jack. Even with the one leg, he's the best field scout in Antarctica. Tell him about our escape plan. Then you two get the hell out of here before Tarosh catches on. And what will you be doing? Dancing with T-Rex? I think I'm beginning to figure him out. Is that so? I'll stand a better chance against him than you will, that's for damn sure. I don't think so, Troy. I raised him. He bonded with me. He's not going to hurt me now. You're not his mom anymore, Kelly. What are you two talking about back there? Zalman stopped, walking and turning around to stare at them. A patch covered his burned eye. The weather, Troy said, his own head still bandaged. We were just discussing how the storm seems to be letting up a little bit. The winds aren't blowing quite as... Shut up! Zalman stared at them with his one good eye, then turned back around, continued to walk. Several minutes passed before Troy spoke again. You sure you're the man to bring T-Rex down, Zalman? I mean, with just one eye, you don't have much of a depth perception. Proskov grabbed Troy and shoved the muzzle of the Makarov into his neck, into the fleshy part below the jawbone. He said to shut up, so you shut up, niet? When they had walked more than a mile from Deep Core Station, far enough to feel the full numbing effect of the cold, the other men with them, Chuck Kingsley, Ben Morris, George Benson, helped Troy set up the flares in a large square pattern while Zalman and Kelly watched, and Proskov and Belin stood guard. After they finished, Zalman turned to Kelly. Go stand in the middle of the square. There? She pointed. You heard what I said. Where will the rest of you be? Outside the square. Kelly shivered inside her thermal suit. I'm freezing to death. I can't stand out there. You won't have long to wait. I can't wait another 30 seconds. Do as you told, stupid bitch. Who the hell do you think you are, Zalman? You have no right to talk to me like that. He struck her across the mouth with the back of his hand. The sound carried like a gunshot into the cold night air as she staggered, then fell back onto the frozen ground. Troy stepped forward, but Proskov shoved the Makarov into his neck again, and he moved no further. Get up, Zalman said to her, and get out there. Kelly rose awkwardly to her feet. Her thermal suit was dusted with snow. Blood trickled down from her mouth, freezing to a dark red line that glistened in the frigid air. She tried to spit a mouthful at Zalman, but it froze solid before reaching him and cracked into ice shards. He raised his hand again as if to strike her. She flinched, lowering her head. Then she walked out slowly towards the middle of the square. Zalman turned to the others. Outside the square! Now! As the rest of them moved back, Troy held his ground, his eyes fixed on Zalman. What are you looking at, Darrow? Human garbage. Zalman walked up to him, gripping the tranquilizer gun hard, his one good eye glittering in the light from the flares. Tarosh thinks you're useful. I don't. Remember that. He slammed the butt of the gun into Troy's groin. The pain made him double over, grabbing at his crotch. He looked up to see Zalman grinning at him, one eye bright with malice, while Proskov and Belin stood on either side, their Makarovs pointed straight at him. Troy turned from them and limped after the others who were standing now in the darkness beyond the flares, waiting. Kelly stood shivering by herself inside the square, orange-pink light casting her long shadow across the snow and ice, smoke rising from flares into the pale night sky. A sound came from the darkness beyond the square, the sound of something large and heavy breaking through ice. They all turned in that direction. The sound came again, carried on the blast of a storm wind. That could be him, by God, Chuck Kingsley whispered. Or ice giving way somewheres, George Benson said. Hard to tell with all this wind. Shut up! Zalman snapped at them. We need to keep silent. Have you never hunted before? Not anything that could hunt me back, Kingsley said. Time passed with excruciating slowness, the minutes dragging by hours, the sub-zero cold intense to begin with, cut deeper because of the men's immobility. Any attempt to stamp their feet met with sharp glances from Zalman or the other two guards. The men began to shiver with every blast of wind. My feet are numb, Morris said. Can't even feel them. Probably frostbite setting in, Benson said. Well, Kingsley announced, there's one part of me that still ain't completely frozen yet. If you don't shut up, Zalman warned him. Friend, Kingsley said, I gotta take me a piss, okay? Go over and do it. There. Zalman pointed to a spot about 20 yards away. Then come back when you're finished. Kingsley walked off, stiff-legged, mumbling to himself. Goddamn bunch of hard-asses. Man can't even take a piss. When he was far enough, he unzipped his pants, gritting his teeth at the sudden blast of catabolic wind. Jesus Christ, he called. It's cold out here. I'm about to freeze my goddamn weenie off. Shut up! Zalman called, voice distorted by the wind. Kingsley let out a hot stream that blew right back on him. God damn it! Another gust of wind blew over him, somewhat warmer this time and stinking slightly of rotten meat. He looked up into the gaping jaws and pale eyes. The Tyrannosaur roared at him, hot breath issuing from its mouth in a rolling cloud of steam that enveloped Kingsley and his limp, dribbling member. Kingsley screamed and tried to stuff it back in his pants. The Tyrannosaur, whether drawn by the motion or perhaps by the smell, lunged straight at Kingsley's groin, ripping it loose from the rest of his body, so that what was left of him fell to the snow-covered ice in two different directions, head and torso to one side, severed legs to the other. His dying screams carried on the wind. To the other men, who stood watching as the beast devoured him with an eager appetite, snatching up loose body parts from the frozen earth. Get back! Zalman cried, running with the tranquilizer gun in his hands. Withdraw to the other side of the square, behind where the girl is standing! The others began to run with him, skidding on the ice. The creature swallowed the last of Kingsley's body, savoring the taste of hot blood. Then it came after them, bounding across the ice with great bird-like leaps. Troy reached out to Kelly as he ran past her. Come on, Darrow! He looked up to see Zalman glaring at him with one hate-filled eye, and Proskov and Belin brandishing their Makarovs. Keep running, Darrow! Zalman ordered. I'll be okay, Kelly said. He cast another look and glanced back at her as he continued to run. The Tyrannosaur leaped into the square, its huge body tinted a garish pink-orange by the unearthly sight of the smoking flares. Great jaws dripping with Kingsley's blood, it stopped and stared at Kelly, its hot breath pluming in the air, its long tail twitching ominously. She shivered, but not from the cold this time. He leaned down close to examine her. His head cocked to one side, sniffing, examining her closely. Then it roared at her. Hot breath rolled over her, foul with the odor of half-digested flesh. It smelled bad, but not much worse than the breath of killer whales, which she had smelled often enough while working with orcas on a project near San Diego. She looked up with what she hoped was a non-threatening expression, as if anyone knew what a dinosaur found threatening. She's a goner, Morris said, breathing hard. Belin turned to him, Makarov in hand. Morris fell silent. As Kelly and the Tyrannosaur faced off against each other, Zalman moved in close to the edge of the square, aiming the tranquilizer gun carefully, sighting on the yellow eye at the side of the creature's massive head. The Tyrannosaur leaned down closer to Kelly, sniffing at her. Puffs of hot breath rising from its nostrils. Then it gave out a high-pitched bird-like chirp, a ludicrous sound coming from a creature of such size and ferocity. Kelly felt her eyes mist over behind the snow goggles. "Hey, baby," she cried. "You remember me, don't you?" Zalman squeezed the trigger. The tranquilizer dart missed the eye itself, but landed in the folded leathery skin at the corner of the eye. The Tyrannosaur snapped its head back and roared. The tranquilizer dart missed the eye itself, but landed in the folded leathery skin at the corner of the eye. The Tyrannosaur snapped its head back and roared. The sound echoed across the freezing night air. Zalman reloaded quickly and fired again. This time the dart lodged in the creature's neck. Zalman fired again, but too quickly. The dart fell short of its target, narrowly missing Kelly's face. Zalman was reloading again when Troy yanked the tranquilizer gun from his hands and threw it to the ground. "You almost hit her, you damn fool! The wind's kicking up again. It's throwing off your aim." Mouth open, breath pluming, Zalman stared at him. "You," he said, "you have been warned enough." He drew his Makarov and turned it on Troy, holding the automatic with both hands as he took deadly aim. Troy stood there, arms hanging loose at his sides. Zalman started to squeeze the trigger. The Tyrannosaur reached him first, biting down on his outstretched arms, severing them cleanly and decisively as the descending blade of a guillotine. A hoarse cry burst from Zalman's open mouth. He staggered forward, his arms still held out in front of him, but cut off above the elbows now, blood splurting from them in long, dark ropes. The Tyrannosaur hit him again, lifting him up in the air and tearing at his flesh with large saber-like teeth. Zalman's severed head fell from the terrible jaws and landed upside down now on the frozen ground, steaming in the snow. Troy reached down for the tranquilizer gun, laying on the patch of ice where Zalman had thrown it. The other men started running towards Deep Core Station. The Tyrannosaur gave chase, pouncing on Morris, who ran slower than the rest. Troy came up to the gigantic creature as it stooped to devour Morris's body. He moved quickly underneath it. He aimed the tranquilizer gun straight at the exposed area between the two enormous tree-sized legs, then fired. The Tyrannosaur let out a roar of pain and looked down. Parts of Morris's body fell from its open jaws. When it saw Troy, it roared again and tried to crush him with a sharp taloned foot. Troy threw himself out of the way from the descending foot, which hit the frozen earth with the force of a pile driver, sending up bursts of snow and chunks of shattered ice. Troy, running for his life now, slipped on the snow-covered ice and fell belly first. He slid across the ice for over 15 yards, the roar of the Tyrannosaur ringing in his ears as the enraged beast spotted him. He saw a flare burning less than 10 feet away. He got back to his feet somehow and ran for it, not even bothering to look back, knowing that the beast with its great speed would be on top of him within seconds. The hot breath blew over him as he neared the flare, leaned over, grabbed at it. He fell forward, kept falling, and turned, bringing up the flare in front of him just as the huge jaws came down. Burning heat singed the tip of the Tyrannosaur's snout. The enraged creature drew back, roaring at the pain, and it lunged at Troy again, but less steadily this time, as if drunk or neurologically impaired somehow. Troy scrambled on the ice, getting back to his feet, the flare raised before him like a sword. The Tyrannosaur lunged for him and missed again, striking him with its snout instead of grabbing him in his jaws. The blow knocked Troy backward through the air, the flare flying loose from his hand. He hit the snow-covered ice on his already injured side and skidded for another 10 yards before coming to a stop. When he did, he laid there, staring at the beast, unable to move. "Troy!" Kelly screamed at him. "Run!" He pushed himself to his feet, using his left hand, more in response to Kelly's cry than volition of his own. His right arm and hand hung numb and listless, swinging from his shoulder. He began to run, knowing he could never make it. The Tyrannosaur came after him, but not with its usual sure-footed bird-like quickness. The creature lurched forward drunkenly, tipping crazingly to one side, then the other. It roared with rage, but not even that sounded right. Hesitant and warbling, slightly off-key. Troy staggered aimlessly for several more yards across the ice, his arm flopping at his side, before he pitched forward and fell face down on the frozen ground, breathing hard, puffs of snow spurting from the side of his open mouth. Close by, he could hear the beast lumbering towards him. Then a roar of rage split the night sky, mixed with something like fear this time, and even helplessness. The roar continued, but seemed to be dropping as if the creature had fallen into a bottomless chasm. The Tyrannosaur hit the frozen ground with an impact that made the ice shudder beneath Troy as he lay there. Chunks of ice and snow flew up from the air and rained down like debris from a minor avalanche. Several seconds passed before he could lift his head and look back at the Tyrannosaur lying behind him, stretched out to its full 40-foot length, eyes closed, great jaws still open, only inches short of having seized him. And that is the end of Chapter 14.